What if the thing you've spent your whole life trying to escape is the exact thing that's a myth because it's been waiting to set you free? Stop for a second and think about that. Every uncomfortable feeling you've ever pushed down, every thought you've ever run from, every moment you ever numbed yourself just to get through the day. What if none of that was ever the enemy? What if the real problem was never the feeling itself, but your relationship to it? Tonight, I want to talk to you about something most people never learn, something nobody teaches you in school, something you were never handed a manual for, how to actually be free inside your own mind. Because here's what nobody tells you. You did not come into this world afraid. You did not arrive already flinching from life. Somewhere along the way, you learned to close. You learned that certain feelings were dangerous, so you built walls around them. You learned that certain thoughts were too much, so you buried them. And over time, without ever deciding to, you turned yourself into a fortress. And a fortress, no matter how well built, is still a prison. The very walls you built to protect yourself are the same walls now keeping you from the life you actually want. I want you to notice something right now, in this very moment. Behind every thought you're having, behind every emotion moving through you, there is something that never changes. There is a part of you that is simply aware. It watches the anger come and go. It watches the joy come and go. It watches fear rise up like a wave and eventually settle back down. That awareness, that quiet witness behind everything, that is who you actually are. You are not the storm. You are the sky the storm happens in. Most people never discover this because they are too busy being the storm. They think, I am angry, instead of noticing. Anger is passing through me right now. They think, I am afraid, instead of noticing. Fear has shown up, and I am the one watching it. This distinction sounds small, but it is the difference between a life of suffering and a life of freedom. The moment you stop being the wave and start being the ocean that holds the wave, everything changes. Nothing outside you has to change at all. Your entire relationship to life transforms from the inside. So how do you actually get there? It begins with a decision most people are terrified to make, the decision to stop closing. Every time something uncomfortable rises inside you, a jolt of anxiety, a flash of jealousy, an old wound reopening, you have exactly two choices. You can contract around it, tighten up, push it back down where it came from, or you can do something radically different. You can relax. You can breathe. You can let the energy of that feeling move through you completely, without grabbing onto it and without shoving it away. Think about what happens when you touch something hot. Your hand pulls back instantly. That is exactly what your mind does with uncomfortable feelings. The moment something painful touches your awareness, you flinch, you close, you pull away. But here's the problem. You can't actually pull away from your own inner world. There's nowhere to run to. So instead of escaping the feeling, all you've done is trap it inside you. And a feeling that is trapped does not disappear. It waits. It sits in your chest, in your shoulders, in your stomach, and it colors every single day that follows until you finally have the courage to let it move. This is the secret nobody tells you. Feelings are not meant to be permanent residents. They are meant to pass through you like weather passes through the sky. A cloud does not stay forever. Rain does not fall forever. If you simply let the energy move, it moves. It's only when you resist it, when you clamp down and refuse to feel it, that it gets stuck. And a lifetime of stuck feelings is what most people carry around and call their personality. They think this heaviness is just who they are. It isn't. It's just old weather that never finished passing through. Now, here is where it gets even more interesting. Once you start practicing this, once you start letting go instead of closing, you begin to notice something remarkable about your own mind. Most of your thoughts are not actually useful. Most of your thoughts are just noise, old patterns replaying themselves over and over, trying to protect you from things that already happened or things that haven't have, and probably never will. Your mind narrates constantly. It comments on everything. It judges, it worries, it plans, it replays. And you have mistaken this constant chatter for your own identity. You've been so close to the noise for so long that you forgot you're not the noise. You're the one listening to it. Try this. Just for a moment, stop reading and simply notice your own thoughts. Don't try to change them. Don't judge them. Just watch them the way you'd watch clouds drift across the sky. Notice how, the instant you step back and observe your thoughts, instead of being lost inside them, something shifts. There's a little more space, a little more quiet. That space is not empty. It is the most real part of you. That space is home. This is what real growth looks like. It's not about becoming someone new. It's not about fixing yourself, because there was never anything broken to begin with. Growth is about remembering something you did, that you are whole, that you are already free, and that manaf, the only thing standing between you and that freedom is your own habit of grabbing onto every passing thought and feeling as if your life depended on it. Let's talk about pain for a moment, because everybody has it, and everybody's first instinct is the same: avoid it. We build our entire lives around avoiding discomfort. We choose careers to avoid the pain of failure. We choose relationships to avoid the pain of loneliness. We scroll our phones to avoid the pain of sitting quietly with ourselves. And in doing all of this avoiding, we never actually deal with the thing underneath. We just keep adding distraction on top of distraction, hoping the pile gets big enough that we forget what's buried at the bottom. But pain that is buried does not stay buried forever. It leaks. It shows up as irritability with people who did nothing wrong. It shows up as exhaustion that sleep can't fix. It shows up as a low hum of dissatisfaction that follows you into every room. No matter how good your life looks from the outside, the only way out is not around. It is through. You have to be willing to actually feel what you've spent years avoiding, not relive it, not analyze it to death. Just feel it, fully, and let it finally finish moving through you the way it was always trying to. This takes courage, and I want to be honest with you about that. It is not easy to sit with old pain. Every instinct in your body will tell you to get up, to distract yourself, to change the subject. But if you can stay, even for a few extra seconds longer than feels comfortable, something incredible happens. The pain that felt like it might swallow you whole turns out to be smaller than your fear of it. It moves, it softens, and on the other side of it is a lightness you haven't felt in years, maybe ever. Now let's talk about something equally important: the stories we tell ourselves. Your mind doesn't just react to what's happening. It builds entire narratives around it. Someone doesn't call you back, and within seconds your mind has built a whole story about why, usually one that makes you feel small or unwanted. Your boss looks at you a certain way in a meeting, and by the end of the day you've convinced yourself you're about to lose your job. None of these stories are facts. They are just the mind's attempt to control uncertainty by filling in the blanks with fear. Here's the truth. Reality is always simpler and quieter than the story your mind builds around it. Life is just happening, moment to moment, thing after thing, unfolding the way it unfolds. It's your mind that adds the drama, the meaning, the judgment, the fear. And once you see this clearly, you gain an incredible power. The power to simply not believe every story your mind tells you. You can let the thought come, notice it's just a story, and choose not to climb inside it. This is where real peace begins. Not in changing your circumstances, not in fixing every problem in your life. Real peace begins the moment you stop being dragged around by every thought and feeling that shows up uninvited. It begins the moment you realize you have a choice in how you relate to your own inner world. I also want to talk about honesty, because there is a very specific kind of suffering that comes from silence. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of hiding. So many of us walk around carrying things we've never said out loud, not even to ourselves. We swallow our truth because we're afraid of what it might cost us. A relationship, an image, a sense of safety. But every truth you swallow doesn't disappear. It just moves into your body and sits there, quietly draining your energy. Speaking your truth is not about confrontation. It's not about being harsh or demanding that the world agree with you. It's simply about no longer lying to yourself. It's about looking at what's actually happening inside you and having the courage to acknowledge it, first to yourself, and when it's right, to the people around you. There is a kind of relief that comes from this that nothing else can replicate. It's the relief of finally putting down something heavy you didn't even realize you're fed when you've been carrying. And this brings me to what I believe is the single most powerful practice available to any human, re-being. Living right here, in this exact moment. Not the moment that already happened. Not the moment that hasn't arrived yet. This one, right now. Because here's the truth most people never stop long enough to notice. The past only exists as a thought you're having right now, and the future only exists as a thought you're having right now. Everything you've ever actually experienced has happened in the present moment. There has never been another moment. There never will be. And yet look at how much of our lives we spend somewhere else, replaying old conversations, rehearsing arguments that haven't happened, worrying about a future we can't control. We miss the actual life happening right in front of us because we're too busy living inside our own head. This very moment, the one you're in right now, reading these words, breathing this breath, this is the only place life has ever actually happened. Everything else is memory or imagination. When you bring yourself fully here, something incredible happens. The weight of the past loses its grip because you're not carrying it into now. The fear of the future loses its power because you're not projecting it onto this moment. What's left is simply life as it is right now, asking nothing of you except your attention. I know this can sound abstract, so let me make it simple. The next time you feel overwhelmed, do this. Stop. Take one breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice the sounds around you. Notice that in this exact second, you are okay. Not okay because your problems are solved, but okay because right now, in this instant, you are breathing, you are aware, and nothing is actually happening to you except this one simple moment. That is always true no matter what your mind is telling you. This is the practice. Not perfection. Not never feeling pain again. Not becoming some emotionless, untouchable version of yourself. The practice is simple. Notice what arises, let it move. Don't grab onto the story. And keep returning your attention to right now. Do this enough times, and something shifts permanently. You stop being at the mercy of every passing thought and feeling. You become the steady presence behind them all, unshaken, no matter what weather passes through. And here's what I want you to walk away with tonight. You have spent your whole life believing that peace was something you had to earn, achieve, or find somewhere out there. It isn't. Peace is not out there. It was never out there. It has been right here, underneath all the noise, the entire time, waiting patiently for you to stop running long enough to notice it. You don't need to become someone different to find it. You simply need to stop covering it up. So starting today, when a feeling rises, let it move instead of burying it. When a thought spins a story, notice it instead of believing it. When your truth wants to be spoken, have the courage to speak it. And when your mind pulls you into yesterday or tomorrow, gently bring yourself back to now, again and again, for as many times as it takes. This is not a technique you master once and then you're done. It's a way of living. It's a relationship you build with your own inner world, moment by moment, breath by breath, for the rest of your life. And I promise you, if you commit to it, you will discover something extraordinary, that the freedom you've been searching for out there was never missing. It was simply waiting behind everything you were afraid to feel. You are not your thoughts. You are not your pain. You are not the stories your mind tells you about who you are and what you deserve. You are the quiet, steady awareness behind all of it, untouched, whole, and free. That has always been true. It is true right now. All that's left is for you to finally stop hiding from it and start living like you know it.